All right, so we start, talking about Visualforce today. Visualforce is basically the programming language. Not complete programming language, but let's still assume it as a programming language. Microphones on mute, please, everyone. All right. Programming language for designing front end. Okay. So with Visualforce, you have the option of designing the front end the way you want. All right. Uh, Now, do we have other options of the controlling the front end design? Yes, we have, and we have seen the page layout for that, right? But page layout comes with a lot of limitations, right? When you use page layout, there are only a few things that you can do, and there are a lot of things which you cannot do. Visualforce, since you're writing the code, yourself, you have that option of controlling things the way you want. Okay. What do we control using Visualforce? Several things. First is look and feel of the page. Second is what else do you think we control using Visualforce, using program on the user interface? What all things do we need to control? I want you guys also to think on this. What do you think needs to be controlled while you're creating a user interface?
Certain buttons.
Us,
Buttons. Okay. What else?
yeah, Jeet, is it like look and the feel of the page?
Look and feel of the page. That's something which we have already mentioned. Apart from that,
No, no, like because it's type feek, so I just wanted to confirm like is
oh,
it
sorry.
feek? Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apart from that, what else do you think?
Access, like
Like
level of
pop-up windows
access.
and stuff.
Sorry, access. What else are we
Level
saying?
level of access. Yeah.
Level up access. Okay. So actions, that's what people were saying buttons. So not buttons actually, but the actions. With the buttons, we basically try to control some actions. Okay. What all can we do on the user interface? Can we click? Do we have a button, or do we have an action available to delete a record? Do we have an action available to create a record? Do we have an action available to move to a different page? Right. That's all. So actions. Third is data visibility or access, whatever we are talking about. What data appears on the page? That's also something which needs to be controlled, right? So if there is a page, that page will display some data. What data needs to be displayed and what should not be displayed? That's again something which needs to be controlled. What else do you think needs to be controlled using Visualforce pages? Or in general, don't think about the Visualforce perspective. In general, if there is a user interface which is being designed, what all things need to be controlled there?
Easy to access for the user.
Easy to access for the user, okay. But I mean, that's something which you are not controlling basically. That's one of the attributes. Okay. What else needs to be controlled?
Is it anything with the mobile devices, like responsive design something?
Okay.
Which user
Um,
can see which page?
okay. So we are talking about the user access, which user can see which page and all. Okay, that needs to be controlled. Uh, Again, we want some responsive designing. Okay, that can be one thing. So these are a few things, right? So more or less we have kind of put everything here, right? Now, page layout does not give us enough options to do all these things. That's the reason why we will start doing these things with the help of coding. All right. So navigations, actions, look and feel, how exactly my page should look, what color I want in the background, what kind of a logo I want to put. Do I want the logo on the left hand side or on the right hand side? What data gets displayed on the page, and which user can access that page and not. Does my page function properly on a mobile device, or just only on a laptop, or all these things, right? So with while we start using Visual Force page, we are able to bring in all these aspects here. Yeah. So that's about our Visual Force page basics. Okay, you will use Visual Force because you need to include these things in your page, right? And page layout is not good enough to do these things, so that's the reason why we need the help of the code. Now, Visual Force is just a markup language. Okay, it's just a markup language. Now, does anyone know what's a markup language?
HTML?
That's one example, but what exactly a markup language?
Like web language, I guess.
Okay, so markup language is okay. Before that, let's understand what's a markup. So markup in this web designing terminology, or a user interface designing terminology, markup refers to anything that appears on the screen. Okay, anything that appears on the screen, that can be text, image, link, button, table, header, logo, video, flash, anything. Now, that's something which appears on the page, right? So these are like actors in the film, people who are right at the front of the stage. Okay, so Visual Force is a markup language, which means Visual Force is more like a designer who actually designs these markups and brings in these markups on the page. All right, so this language is basically used for controlling the markups, right? So which markup appears on the page, and where it appears, and how it appears, right? These are the things which we will do using Visual Force. Like if I need a text box, or I need a button, if I need the button in the left hand side or in the right hand side. So these are the things which are controlled using Visual Force. Correct. So it's just a markup language. It cannot do any logics. It cannot do any comparisons or any sort of logical functioning. It cannot do. It can only put in some markups in different places on the page. That's what Visual Force is able to do, and it's pretty similar to another markup language which is called HTML. Okay, how many of you have worked a little with HTML, have done some part of HTML earlier? Who all has done some part of HTML sometime in your life?
Yeah, I did it.
You did it. Who else?
Actually, I'm doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, but like way early. So
But you know basics of HTML, right? Who else has done?
yeah, rough idea of it.
Srinivas, I am pretty sure you must have done. Manjit.
No, I haven't done anything on that, Ajit, but I remember learning something like, some 10, 12 years back.
Okay, but basics. Do you remember of HTML?
Obviously, I don't. Maybe like, once you say, probably I will be able to.
Yeah. So do you know something like this? Do you understand what this will do?
I think it prints the word hello.
And why this B?
Uh, that must be the starting and the ending.
No, that's not the starting and ending. Starting and ending is something different. This is for making it bold. Okay.
Bold. Okay.
The same way, we have another one, I, which will make it
Italics, right?
italics, right? So that way. So,
Okay.
now basically, this is a tag-based markup language, and these are called tags. Okay, like
Okay.
bold tag and italic tag. So this is a tag-based markup language, and these are the tags. So we have a big set of tags, and we can actually design the page with all the markups, and we can use all the tags. So for everything we have a tag in HTML. All right. uh, if you want to make it bold, if you want to make it italic, if you want to create a table, if you want to create a button, if you want to create an input text box, for everything there is a tag, a defined tag. All right. So that's what it is. So since we are talking about a markup language can basically control the look and feel of the page. So these tags actually help it do the same. Okay, to control the look and feel, whether you want the text in bold or italic, or a certain font or a certain color, everything can be controlled using these tags. Okay, so this is called a tag based markup language. All right, but the entire language will just have tags and nothing else. So you cannot actually go and do a comparison of a certain value and perform some action based on that. That's not allowed. Same way, Visualforce is also the same kind of a language. It's also a tag based markup language. Okay, this is also tag based markup language. Here we do not call them tags, we call them components. Okay, and your tag is, sorry, a component is similar to tag. Got it? So that's how it is. So just that terminology I want you to understand. Component is another word or used for uh, the tag. What you call a tag in HTML is called a component here. So these are called Visualforce components. Okay. In addition to this, so Visualforce has, again, as I said, HTML, and you must be aware of this, that HTML has a big set of HTML tags. Same way, Visualforce has a quite a long set of Visualforce components. You can call it Visualforce tags also. Okay, so there is a set of Visualforce tags and components. In addition to that, you can use almost all HTML tags in Visualforce. Okay, so like if you have to make a text bold in Visualforce, you can write the same thing. So these HTML tags are pretty well understood within Visualforce also. Okay, so that's a good thing. You don't have a separate component or a tag in Visualforce for making a text bold. You can actually just use this HTML thing and it will still do the same stuff on the Visualforce page. Clear? So we have these components, in the Visualforce, and in addition to that, we can use the HTML tags as well in the Visualforce. Clear? So far, it's okay. All right. Now, for people who are new to HTML, or people who have just done HTML a little while ago, or people who do not know that much of HTML, there's a small thing that I want to do, and that's the reason why I actually wanted to do this start first session of Visualforce today. Um, because I want you to spend a little time with HTML tutorials, and the source for that is w3schools.com. I think you guys must have seen that. Have you seen that?
Yes, it's a very good site to learn HTML.
Yes, w3schools.com. Okay. Now what we have to do is we have to just spend some time, for people who are okay with the HTML part. It's fine. Even if you don't go there and if you don't spend time, that's okay. But people are new to it, like Manjit, you said 10, 12 years back you did it, so that's okay. But if you spend kind of 2 to 3 hours,
Do we need? Okay.
and I don't want you to again uh, spend too much of time on HTML for anyone, because HTML is not our motive here, or that's not the goal. We are not learning HTML here. We are supposed to learn Visualforce. Why I want you to get a bit of idea of HTML at this point of time, because Visualforce syntaxing and everything is pretty similar to HTML. So it's a good idea to do a refresh of your HTML knowledge in case you have, or get the fresh knowledge of HTML in case you do not have. Second thing is, while you are writing Visualforce pages, or designing Visualforce pages, you can utilize some of the HTML tags also. Okay. Now let me also talk about one best practice while you start creating Visualforce pages here. See, Visualforce components are they are on the force.com platform, right? These are the components which have been developed by salesforce.com, right? So there's a lot of programming which is written behind this, though you use it as a tag, but that there is a lot of programming which has been used behind it, right? So a visual force component is usually heavier than a HTML tag. Okay. A good practice is, wherever possible, if we can use HTML tags and avoid Visualforce components, that will enhance the performance of your pages. Okay, that's one of the best practices. I just want you to understand right from the beginning. If possible, again, there are things where you have to use a Visualforce component, and that's absolutely fine. If you have to use a Visualforce component, just go ahead and use a Visualforce component. But if you feel that you can actually avoid some of the Visualforce components, because very similar HTML tags are available, and they can give similar kind of an output which you are expecting, try to use HTML tags. So that's the second reason why I actually want you to get a little more familiar with the HTML also. HTML tags are lighter as compared to the Visualforce components, all right? Because Visualforce components do are heavy, and overall they will make your page a little heavier. All right, so it's still okay. Nowadays we have pretty fast internet connections, and you will not find the difference. You might not notice that much of a difference while you're using a laptop or something. But yeah, if you're using a mobile device, sometimes you might feel that it would have been better if you used more of HTML coding or something like that. All right. Okay, so that's just a suggestion, or one of the best practices that you can use. So let's come back to this part. So w3schools.com, spend not more than 2-3 hours on this. Get familiar with a few tags, and that will be useful for your Visualforce pages creation also. Okay. Now while we're creating this Visualforce page, let's understand what Visualforce page contains. A Visualforce page will contain markups. So what is a markup?
Tags.
Tags. Okay. Any other definition? What's a markup? We just talked about it.
Yeah, it's text, image, link, button,
Anything
table.
that appears on the page, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So while you create a Visualforce page, there has to be markup. So you have to define the markups, whether you want the text, or you want the image, or you want someone's name, or the logo, or the link, or the video, or whatever. And this page will also contain a controller. Okay, so because Visualforce page can just hold the markups, but my page needs controllers also, right? I told you this markup does not have any logics and all. It's just the way you want the markup to be displayed. That's it. Okay, and there is no way you can actually control, if this happens then do this, and if this does not happen then do this, and all that stuff. That is not available in the markups. Okay. Now, there has to be something which can control the entire story on the page, right? What happens when I click on a button? Where will I write that? Okay. What happens when I open the page? What all data comes onto the page? What happens when I click on the delete button? These things need to be written somewhere, right? So for that we have a controller. What is a controller? Set of controlling logics. Markup is what you see on page. So this set of controlling logics are basically not visible on the page, but they definitely keep on controlling the page from the backend. Correct? So these are the actors and this is the script with the director, which keeps on controlling everything from the backend. We don't see it, but it is actually the controlling thing. Right?
So, Jeet,
So
just to be curious, these controllers are similar to JavaScript kind of thing, or?
something similar to JavaScript. So if you talk about a normal website page, JavaScript can be a controller there.
Yeah.
Okay. So a page a Visualforce page that you're creating usually will contain the markups and the controllers. Visualforce itself is not capable of writing controllers, and we need another programming language for writing the controller, which is Apex. Apex is a proper programming language. A proper programming language, when I say, I mean it. You can define variables, you can do comparisons, you can run loops, you can perform actions. So everything can be done using Apex. Correct? So that's basically about the formation of a Visualforce page. So the Visualforce page will hold all the markups and it will be connected to a controller, and that controller should be created using Apex. Right? So Apex part we will come a little later. I mean, we'll start talking about Apex a little later. These controllers are of four types. One is a standard, one is a standard list, one is custom, and one is extension. Okay. I'll talk about all these controllers one by one, and we will do a few examples with all these controllers. Just that before we actually get into that, what I want to let you know is, while we are talking about the standard controller, your standard controller is the first two, standard and standard list. You don't need to write any code for these two things. Okay, these are the default controllers which Salesforce uses for its pages. So let's understand this way. Salesforce also has a few pages, page layouts and all that stuff we have seen, right? Now, which means they must be having some controller for their standard pages. True. When they have the pages, when Salesforce has created pages, so there must be some controller which are acting as the controlling logics for their standard pages,
True.
right?
True.
So the standard and standard list controller basically utilizes those controllers. Okay, so let's say Salesforce has created 5 pages for accounts or 1 page for account, let's say. Now Salesforce must have created a controller for that page that controls the logic for that page. While we use the standard and standard list controller, we leverage that controller and we don't need to write any program from our side. Got it? So here what we do is we just try to leverage the controller which has been created by Salesforce, and we just create the markup. Okay, so what you say is that I'll work with the logics that have been provided by Salesforce. All I need is I just need to change the markup. Okay, so that's one option. So you work with the standard controllers and you just change the markups the way you want. The look and feel and the other stuff you
That
change
was
it.
in Apex, right, Chi?
No, this is not in Apex, yet you have not got into Apex. Markup will be changed using Visualforce and
So
controllers
like
are
this,
already existing. So, we are not getting into Apex anywhere,
so
right?
it's like we have to we can sort of clone the standard and the standard list, and on basis of that we can create like new page.
No, we cannot.
Is
We
it
don't need to clone also. We can directly use the one that they are using. We can directly
okay?
associate our page with their controller.
Okay, okay,
Got it?
yeah.
So it's more of a just changing the front end, and in the back end you use the same set of logics. Okay, and you don't even need to clone and create another controller. You just start directly associate your page with the standard controller which is already available. All right. Now, good thing about using these two types of controller is that you will have the benefit that you don't have to write the code. You're already leveraging something which has already been done by Salesforce, right? Bad thing about this is that you will be limited to those options. You will be only limited to the logics which Salesforce has written, and you will not be able to explore or expand the functionalities. Got it? So there is a good thing about it, and there is a bad thing about it. So if you feel that you're creating a page, and the set of logics which are required for that page are pretty much similar to the ones that have been provided by Salesforce, go ahead with these two things. Okay. So advantage, you don't have to write your own code, or you don't have to write your own logics, and these pages can be built very quickly. The second option is custom controller and the extension controller. This is where you actually start writing the logics. Okay. So for example, let me take a simple example. Here for standard save, in standard there is a save option, right? The save option will only save the record. But while you're using a custom, you can make your save action do whatever you want. Save the record, delete 10 other records, send 2 emails. You can just define the way you want what your save action will do. Here save action will only do what it does for a normal save action on a standard page. Got it? So that's the thing. In the custom controller, you start writing your own logics, and you start controlling the story the way you want. Which button will perform what kind of an action, and everything you write. What data will be loaded, what data will be removed, what will be deleted, what appears, everything. Okay, with a standard and standardless controller, you will not have that kind of a control, right? So again, that depends on us. While we start creating our Visualforce page, we decide on whether we are good to manage things using our standard controllers, or we need to write a custom controller or a custom set of logics. Clear on this? Make sense, right? So in our next session we will start creating Visualforce pages, and we will start with the standard controller. As I said, I'll one by one talk about each type of controller, and we will be doing a few examples for each type of the controller. All right. The only small thing that I wanted you to do before we can actually get into Visualforce, just spend some time on the HTML tutorial. All right, like maybe minimum 2-3 hours will be good. If you can spend a little more time, that's also okay, right? That will actually set the pace for you to learn the Visualforce, the syntaxes and the way that tags are written and everything. So you will actually get a good understanding of that, and then it will become very easy for you to quickly grab the Visualforce page uh, things, right? How where we are opening a tag, and how are we closing, where are we closing the tag. This understanding is pretty much required. Okay. So I'll just leave you with this small assignment of working on the HTML tutorials from w3schools.com. This is something which I feel is good. Right.
Yeah.
Tell me if you have any other
Uh,
questions. Hmm.
yeah, Jeet, I have a couple of doubts